Good evening once again. Welcome to the 1873 TV. And again, we continue the conversation of the future that is troubled, the future that is uncertain. I just had a long conversation with Simba Mujuru. We were talking about an earlier show that we had on the acquisition of Shabani Mashaba mines. And he had a different take, and he gave his own perspective as to what had informed his own opinion about what happened and the relationship between me and SMM. After the long conversation, I think we all agreed that it is important that we invest in platforms where ideas can be shared, perspectives can be shifted, even altered, where ideas can battle ideas and not the individuals concerned. There are many people in life who have no story to tell. There are many people who nobody talks about anyway. Yet there are others where everybody has an opinion. In fact, I had one interesting case on this journey of SMM. I had a journalist travel all the way from Zimbabwe, arrived in South Africa, came into my office and was holding a newspaper, Financial Gazette. And on the Gazette, the headline was, "An unknown businessman has acquired Shabani Mashaba mines." On the Gazette, the headline was, and I was at the reception, and the person, I asked him, "Who are you here to see?" Said, "I want to see Mr. Mawere." He was holding the pink paper. And I said, "Mr. Mawere is not around. But what is it that you want to see him for?" Says, "I want to interview him about this story." So I checked. Then the story was containing that headline. So I said, "Come into the boardroom." He took a seat and we began talking. I think we spoke for about 20 minutes, asking and him telling me who this Mawere was and why it was so important for him to see him. Then at the end of the 20 minutes, somebody walked in and said, "Mr. Mawere, there's a phone call." And can you imagine what happened then? The person actually didn't know the person he was talking about was the person that actually was in the same room with him. And he had a lot of opinions about 1 + 1, and he had an answer that it must be 2, because 1 + 1 is always 2. And when I gave him the facts, I could see him shifting his perspective. So this is really the basis of this conversation. The future you want, I think there are people who know the inevitable will always be inevitable. And the only way to alter the inevitable is for you to play your part. If you have any information that may lead to bending or even just shifting of the paradigm, then you have a duty only to share that paradigm. And to some extent, the paradigm will be shifted. There are many people who think actually SMM was only about the minds. They have no idea at all as to what else was involved in the broad umbrella called SMM. And when I say earlier that I was not a shareholder of SMM Zimbabwe, I think even Simba could not believe it. And the advocate Jack Matiza, he just sent me a message and welcome Oscar, welcome Samuel Mgazi, welcome Opka Matika, who is also watching. And this is I think the basis on which we can start some conversations. I think Dr. Adrian Rogers said in 1931 that the opposite of poverty is not wealth. So I give this as a question to all of you. Anyone who is watching, perhaps you can add your voice to this question. Is the opposite of poverty wealth? Because we want to live in countries where wealth and mankind are friends. In fact, close friends. Where happiness is the order of the day. And if I write is wealth do you agree that the opposite of wealth is not actually the opposite of poverty is not wealth? If you agree, please explain why you would agree to this proposition. And if you don't, also give us your input. So assume all the people who talk about Zimbabwe actually knew what Zimbabwe is and what it is not, and the people who talk about the country, and the country has no mechanism to talk about it, about them. Assume there are people who say they love the country so much, yet that idea of the country they love has actually never been interrogated. What is a country? What is a government? What is a state? What are the obligations and rights of citizenship? What is it that people were fighting for when they were talking of independence? Whose independence were they talking about? When we talk about self-determination, whose determination is paramount? When we talk about property, what is property? What is land? I think we had actually an interesting conversation with Simba, who advanced the idea that minerals, being a gift of nature, belong to indigenous people. And anyone who finds them, extracts them, processes them, conveys to the market, it means when you harvest, those minerals actually belong to the nation, not to the finder, not the one who added value to get value out of the same gift of nature without human interaction. That gift will remain valuable but of no value to man. When you say it is my land, it is my minerals, what do we mean? So Simba is back in action. So let's see whether we can. Good afternoon. We can get him. I think says he can talk. Let's see which side is. So I guess we can continue the conversation with Mr. Mjuru. He's in Michigan, the United States, and we just explore ideas. Ideas are never poisonous. Hello? Hello?
Hi, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Hi, how are you?
How are you?
I'm good.
Welcome back.
Yes.
So we are going to have a boxing partnership.
Let's go for it.
Yeah, so I was just saying the idea of a country, the idea of identity, the idea of leadership, the idea of money, all these ideas are so simple but complex. Would you agree?
Yeah, but I'll let you go on. I agree with that premises.
Okay. When we talk of the great thinkers who came before us, one of them was Aristotle. You've heard of the character?
Yeah.
He said, you cannot build a city from paupers or out of paupers. would you care to maybe apply your mind to what he could have meant?
Let me start here. This is maybe what the third conversation I'm having with you.
Yeah.
And I think that's important for us as Zimbabweans, that people that are on different sides of the fence should talk. Because I'll tell you one thing. I've always had a strong view about what's going on with you. But I started to visualize you as a person today.
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily mean that I changed my position. I just start to understand you to be a person like me. So that's always good when it comes to conversation. Now, earlier on introducing me, you were saying when it comes to minerals, you take them out of the ground, you process them and make them a fine product, and then it goes back to the people. That is not quite what I was saying. I was saying that when you've got a company and you start to manufacture things and you bring in technology and you bring in all these things, or you bring something to the people, there's a difference. Unlike when you're coming to take things from the people. What I mean from the people is the country itself and within its boundaries has resources inside it. Those resources belong to the people, belong to Zimbabweans.
So no, I think that's a conversation. I think that's good. You are starting there. I'm just saying is let's take Zimbabwe as the territory or circumference of our conversation.
Okay.
Yeah, and say anything within that perimeter is the subject of interest.
Yes. When it comes to minerals, when it comes to animals,
whatever the
natural wonders,
yeah,
even the air inside those boundaries.
Yeah.
Belong to the Zimbabwean people. Yes.
No, I'm saying is that those gifts of nature, then we now divide into two. I'm a member of the 1873 network, and one of our values, founding values, is that without a faith, life has no meaning and purpose. And the way we approach that value is that life itself, it's part and parcel of the gifts of nature. That all the earth's treasures are created outside the ingenuity and creativity of man. That there's nothing we bring into this earth. We enter society with nothing. We leave society with nothing. In between, anything we require to live life is already provided for. All we do is convert from one form to another. But we have no capacity to create materials that we need to convert into homes, into cars, into objects of value. That the gifts of nature on their own have no capacity of transforming themselves into another form. They remain what they are. A mango will perish if there is no one to pick it up and preserve it or consume it. That they are gifts of nature, gold on its own, hidden in a rock, disturbs no one, is not value at all. But when you then put the human mind, you give that gift a personality and character. which you can call value. But without effort and without imagination, that gift will remain in its native form of no value to mankind. So we are the only creatures that have the capacity to convert. And that's what we call value adding. So if we take the value-centric approach to whatever discussions we have, then we may find a plausible alternative explanation to why things are what they are. What we may call white may be value. But what whites called blacks, actually they never understood that we were also a gift of nature and we were complete and we needed no definition and no alteration. And we didn't need to qualify to be human. But all the gifts of nature acquire value when the property in man, in you, Simba, there is property.
Sir, I totally agree with you. But here's where we are as a generation.
Yeah.
The war before us now is no longer, let's get in the bush and fire arms. The war is now an economic one in terms of how do we develop our country. When we use the premises to judge where we are universally, America is going to base itself on GDP. The UK is going to base it on GDP. In Zimbabwe as well, we operate in a certain climate. So we've got to quantify what we have.
No, I'm saying is you are a bit faster. You are a bit faster than me now. I'm saying that we have no claim when we enter society. We have no claim when we leave society. But in between entry and exit is a journey that is unpredictable. Is a journey that we cannot on our own say this is what it should be. So I'm just giving you the alternative that if you agree with me that when you enter the human society, you actually don't have a relationship with any material.
From a philosophy standpoint, yes, I agree with you. But
yeah, we have to start from I think let's agree on the ideas, the big ideas, the philosophy side. Then we can then disagree where we think philosophy is what? Is
So if you're saying I entered this universe as a naked little baby,
yeah,
and I'm going to enter in a wooden box and it's going to be all over, then from that standpoint, yes, I agree. But we are discussing what's in between now.
No, that's what I'm saying. Let's now talk with what is in between.
Okay.
I cannot imagine gold. Even the best prophets of our time cannot create it. Just taking gold as an example.
That's very true, and not every nation has it either.
That's right. So it was deposited outside man's creativity.
And each nation got a different gift from God.
No, I'm saying the nations were not, the nations are administrative arrangements of men. Nothing was ever given with a name. Even you don't enter the human society with a name. A name is administrative.
I'm waiting for you to get
yeah.
where you're trying to get to. I see where you're going.
Yeah, so I'm saying is that we have no claim on that which was given for free outside our own effort. So for me to use the plural and say our minerals, our this, there must be something that I'm saying about the blueprint of life that would reserve resources for me to claim them when I have played no part in their existence and manifestation and deployment for the convenience of men.
If I interpret, are you saying that as a Zimbabwean, I have no right to claim ownership?
I'm saying, I don't even call you a Zimbabwean. I'm saying you as who you claim to be, because I don't even recognize that you are Simba Mjuru. Because Simba Mjuru, Simba could be a given name, Mjuru could be a shared name, or you could just use the name for social media. For all I know, you could be somebody.
No, that's my real name.
No, I'm just saying I have no mechanism of confirming it, but I take it you are who you claim to be.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the basis of entering into Earth, I didn't come with a name. Neither did I choose to be born in Zimbabwe.
That's right. And there is no country that was given a name by its creator.
Okay.
So we are the ones who give names. We are the ones who put boundaries. We are the one who put borders. We were the one who don't want to include others. We don't like diversity. We want to be homogeneous. We want to think on behalf of other people. We want to claim that which we have not earned by the sweat of the property in us. So I would then claim land that I have not done anything to create. I would then claim minerals which I don't even know where they are.
So basically what you are saying is that me as a Zimbabwean, I should not talk about or should not claim ownership of anything within the Zimbabwean border.
No, I'm not saying, I'm just going to ideas to say let's deal with ideas, a battle of ideas. If you then retreat to your Zimbabweanness and say, because that's my refugee, this is my territory, we are in abundance here, therefore anyone who makes money, I must share because I have a better claim on the fruits of labor.
No, I didn't say that.
No, I'm saying that's one perspective where people say, I wait like an eagle. If you find minerals, then we partake together.
No, the reason the mineral issue comes to play with my argument is each territory on this globe, on planet Earth, is given different resources by the maker, the creator. And it's the responsibility of that territory to protect it and making sure that that gift that has been given is used to the best for the citizen in which those resources come from.
Okay, yeah. Let's deal Simba. Let's deal with the battle of ideas. I mean, this is you can rebel and you're entitled to rebel, but we need a contestation as we look at the future that I want. I have to be able to know where I fit in and where I don't fit in, so that I may be the best I can be. Hello? Hello, I got Tinashe Wungwe Charles. Let me just welcome those who have joined us. Leonard Sikira, Tendai Zinyama is following. Charles Wungwe, Muzukuru Mashingo, Tinashe Bonde, Simon Sevenzai Chibaya, Sydney Taruinga, Samantha Mills, what's your point? Is the question addressed to me? And maybe you may wish to remind me which point troubles you. Then I have Livingston Masango. Then S-O question mark, Livingston, make it easy and state your point. And then Denford Kasambira following. Tatenda Nyamadzao says, I'm here. So we are here talking about ideas that matter. Everything in life starts as an idea. Whether it's a city, whether it's a village, whether it's even conception. So the ideas that inspire, ideas that even speak to the human imagination. When you say this country is good, the country itself must be informed by human beings who understand the limitations of what humanity is. And I may ask Musa Musesho says, I'm with you, say. I may ask you in this, Simba, are you still there? Hello? Simba is gone. So, this is the ideas game. What are the ideas that lift us? There are people who claim that, welcome Abina. There are people who claim that unlike animals, they own the country. And they have a custodial interest. And sometimes they group themselves together and say, we the people, we have a better claim. Just because I'm born. When minerals are underground, trapped in rocks, they are not ours. But when somebody finds them and is benefiting from them, it becomes common property, fair game. Imagine, Abina, you run your own business, and when you are counting your money, which is a product of effort, somebody comes and says, where is my share? And you look at the person to check whether they got their mental faculties intact. And they look back at you and say, this is a new reality. What you called yours yesterday, it is ours. And what would you do if it becomes law that what is on the table must be shared? And I often use the example of a mango. A mango in the tree, in the bush, is called a mango. But a mango in a supermarket is no longer called a mango. It's called cash in form of a mango. And Livingston said they are ours. Either they are discovered or no, they fall under our territorial jurisdiction. Livingston, what is your territorial jurisdiction? When you exit this life called the life we know. What do you take with you? What gives that person the right to ownership when all they do is extract? Livingstone, what is ownership? Perhaps you can be able to unpack it. Because there are many people who want to own without understanding what ownership is. Because we never have these discussions. When we say the future I want, then I say all black people must own. What would be the distinguishing feature between one and the other? And Abina says, I don't think it would be fair. And she's correct. There can never be fairness where the property in you, because you are born with the property, with the mind, and the mind gives you power of free will. It gives you power to reason and make choices. Assume there were no choices, and choice was taken away of human beings. What kind of life would that be? Would you want to be in a country where this character called the president thinks for you and acts on your behalf and call you my people, my property, my subjects? Samantha Mills say, is the right to possess something. Samantha, I give back to you. I drive a car that I have keys, access to. Is it my car? Possession itself. I can possess something that I've stolen. Does it give me the right? I can live in a house that I rent. I have possession. I have the negative right to exclude others from sleeping on a bed that is reserved for me. As long as I'm alive, when I'm dead, the reservation goes. Anyone can sleep there. But when I'm alive, I have a negative right, not a positive right, because I can't stop someone from using the same bed when I'm gone. Livingstone. So why do we even have statesmen? These are administrative. Men by nature are exclusionary. We want to be number one, not number two. We want to excel, but we don't expect others to excel. We want to look good. We want to be on top. And that's, if we don't have autonomy over what falls under the boundary of the state, the boundary is a boundary. It doesn't give you any ownership. And if you go to an animal and is born in one geography, it goes for lunch in another territory. When it arrives for lunch, what do you call it? It leaves Zimbabwe as a lion, arrives in Mozambique. What does it become in Mozambique? It's still a lion. Has no claim on the borders or anything. That's why human beings are creative enough to fly, to drive, to rail, to canoe, to bicycle, to do wheelbarrow, to do anything, to give them motion. Because by nature, we are mobile people. We already are in Zimbabwe, Livingstone. Zimbabwe belongs to all who live in it. It doesn't belong to all who claim it. Samantha said, the shirt you are wearing, say, belongs to you. No. If I die today, this shirt will be worn by somebody. I can give it up. Somebody can steal it, can come with a gun and borrow it without paying for it. The fact that when you die, you will leave it doesn't mean it's not yours. What is mine? If it's mine, it means I cannot surrender it to somebody. Somebody who feel uncomfortable wearing it because it's reserved for me. All the materials that we value in life actually mean nothing. But to us, they mean something. We are exclusive. We were self-centered. We are sometimes irrational. Where it comes to common sense, we don't know what it means sometimes. The sense is not common. Sometimes we are not logical. Sometimes we are not reasonable. That's what makes us so interesting as human beings. Hello? 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 Simba? Okay. So I say I do concur with Simba. I don't know, Mr. Ungwe. Simba, that the Maker allocated every nation with natural resources. I don't know where you got this, Mr. Ungwe. But let me try to get Simba. Okay. Hello? 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 There seems to be a problem. Okay. So, with natural, so it's logical to say that they are the owners and custodians. What is given? Hello? 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 There seems to be a problem there. Hello?
Hi, I'm so sorry. I dropped my connection. I'm so sorry.
Okay, welcome back. We have
I'm sorry.
Ungwe Charles, who seem to agree with you, say, I do concur with Simba that the Maker allocated every nation with natural resources. I think, Mr. Ungwe, you agree that no nation was dressed with a border by the Creator. That all the resources, all the things you see on earth or wherever were given common to men. It was not allocated to a specific class of people. That is a new derivation that you may need to apply your mind to. So it is not logical to say that they are the owners, because what is ownership? Perhaps we start there. Because sometimes when we think of countries and elections and igniting people, there are some people who actually believe they own, and they were born to be custodians when they entered the human civilization with nothing. And there was nothing given to them, to you, as an individual. And therefore you have no claim on something that was not given to you. But you have a claim on the fruits of your labor, because you have put property in it. You don't have a right to... exclude anyone. Because yourself, you don't have a better claim. Because you never brought the things that you claim to own.
So I think the argument we're trying to get to is here. If we say, and I know it's not a biblical argument. We're generally talking about resources and business and assets and stuff like that. But if we clearly say God is the creator of everything, which also means that He's the creator of Zimbabwe, He's the creator of the people inside it, He's the creator of all the laws written inside that country, He's the creator of everything. So if He created me and He put me in Zimbabwe, and He says for my generation, for the block of time that I'm here on earth, I'm the custodian of the resources that Zimbabwe has, then I should
Simba, don't claim that. Let's go to the blueprint of life. And you agree that in the blueprint, somebody cannot create a car without the means to make the car do what it's meant for. That a car, everything we see of value starts as an idea.
I think I agree with that concept here. Okay, I'll concede. Okay, I'll concede that.
So what is created outside my value add is there independent of me.
Sir, I completely understand where you're trying to go to. My logic is still there here saying, for my generation, I am the custodian of the wealth that God gave to Zimbabwe. I am going to do everything in my power to protect it for the next generation. That's the premises of where I'm coming from.
No, that's what I'm saying. Now, it's important to get your perspective and interrogate it. Because if we miss each other on that one, then it means everything that we are talking about Zimbabwe, we get misplaced. You may discover somebody is in government office today saying, if I left office, who is going to protect my people? Because they think that actually they were born to have superior custody of that which they never brought into existence anyway.
Let's get specific. Let's move away from hypotheticals.
No, we're talking about nation states that have gone the wrong direction, where a president thinks that there's a relationship between government and land, government and minerals, when the government is a creation of man. It's not a creation. It's not a creation of the creator.
Sir, let's not beat about the bush. If we're talking about Zimbabwe, let's talk about Zimbabwe. Let's be specific.
No, I'm saying is I'm giving you, because we have many other people who may not. Welcome, Isabella. Ndengea, Leftomena Degu, welcome, Zimbabwe, my second motherland. Then Sylvester Kasoma, welcome. Savannah Madamombe, welcome. Let Mombizo, welcome. Nita Vil Gorem Cheche, welcome. So we are talking to a broader. This is just a battle of ideas. We need to test ideas. We need to contest ideas. We need to understand them. The moment you talk about ownership, abuse of resources is eminent. But when you think stewardship, you act responsibly. Yes. So when you think about a relationship between man and the reality of resources, what is your take? And this question is not just to Simba, it's to all of us.
I'm in favor of being more specific.
Okay, I'm saying is ideas. Okay, give us yours. You are saying that you were born to protect the resources. When you die, what happens to them?
I say they get passed on to the next generation of Zimbabweans. I'm saying,
but who is the Zimbabweans? Who is the Zimbabwean to you? What does he look like?
Anybody who naturalized, anybody who's a holder of either Zimbabwean birth certificate, Zimbabwean passport, or who's got parents that are
Okay, so you're talking about affinity, that we are all, we must have some connection with the territory, the geography.
Yes, because sir, here's the dangerous thing.
Okay, you call yourself what, Zimbabwean?
I'm Zimbabwean, yes.
What makes you Zimbabwean?
I was born in Zimbabwe.
Okay, a lion born in Zimbabwe, what does that make it?
That lion is Zimbabwean too.
Okay, it goes to Mozambique?
When it comes back, listen, sir, anything God gave to Zimbabwe is
No, I'm asking a specific question. The lion goes to Mozambique, arrives in Mozambique, what does it become?
I've got no answer for you with that when it roams like that, but if it's in Zimbabwean territory, it's Zimbabwean, sir.
No, but how do I know which is Zimbabwean? I see you arrive at an airport and someone arrives from Brazil.
That's why we have
So a passport is a human. Do you agree that a passport is a human document? It's a human created document.
Sir, even borders, sir.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying is borders were not part of creation.
Right, but I'm here to say, my argument for me to be here is to say, I'm a defender of what's Zimbabwe.
No, I'm saying is, I'm trying to interrupt. You said birth. Assume I'm flying over the Mediterranean and I'm pregnant, I give birth. What would be the nationality of the child?
Again, usually it refers to what the nationality of the parent.
No, you are saying that birth gives me a right. So I'm born on air.
Sir, if you're a descendant of Zimbabweans, your parents are Zimbabweans.
So identity, so birth doesn't, so birth is not the only entry into citizenship.
Remember I said, you can either be born there, your parents can be Zimbabwean, or you can naturalize.
So what makes you Zimbabwean? Is it birth or what?
You can either be born, sir, you can either have parents that are Zimbabwean, or you can naturalize.
Okay, so if you can naturalize, you accept that to be a national doesn't mean you have to be born there.
No, I never said that.
No, because you. Yeah, no, I'm just saying it's for the benefit of everybody, and because these are association between men and the reality of place of birth. Some people get confused. They think they have a better claim just because they are born in a little bush. And Cosmas Mashiri, welcome. Richard Tanyanyiwa, welcome. Jessica Nyarai Tandi, welcome. So we are dealing with this idea because if we don't get it, we may be able to throw away valuable people and remain poor because just we want to be pure.
We're not, I'd like you to get into specifics because...
Now I'm saying is first the question of relationship between you and Zimbabwe. What is it? You are claiming that you have a better right, a better claim to Zimbabwe, and you must protect it. And right now you are in Michigan.
Right.
Yeah, how do you protect somebody in Zimbabwe?
I could be on the moon and I would still protect Zimbabwe.
How do you tell me physical? How do you do it? I have to endure electricity cuts. I have to endure dirty water.
I can advocate for Zimbabwe like I'm doing from wherever I'm at in the world.
No, this is sloganeering. Let's avoid making slogans.
Okay, now I'm confused. What slogans am I making?
You are saying that you are protecting Zimbabwe in the United States.
I am saying I will argue for Zimbabwe's interest until the day I've died.
What interest are you asserting by sitting talking to me?
Sir, you're Zimbabwean, I'm Zimbabwean. We're happy.
No, we are threatening to be Zimbabwean.
Now I'm confused.
Okay.
We're having a dialogue about our nation.
Not our nation.
I'm not threatening anything.
No, we are outside the borders of Zimbabwe, yet we become more vociferous about the people who live and endure every day what it means to be Zimbabwean.
The ideas of a nation are not confined to a geographic location.
They are, because your solutions are geographic. If there is no transportation, you can't dream about transport.
Sir, my solution is to say the minerals of Zimbabwe belong in Zimbabwe.
No, they don't. No, if you can lift them, they are of no value to you. If you don't have capital, you don't have execution, you don't have knowledge, then you claim just because you exist, just because I'm born in Zimbabwe, then I make a slogan that those minerals are mine.
Sir,
that's a cheap argument.
If you're talking about the argument of the mine companies that you have, let's debate that. If that's what you want to debate, let's debate it. But let's not make hypotheticals and turn it around.
No, but you are the one who's making hypothetical in America.
The mine company that you had in Zimbabwe,
yeah,
that mine in that ground, that stuff you're getting in the ground belongs to Zimbabwe.
No, there's nothing that was created outside Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe is just a 37-plus-year-old child.
Sir, mines, the Victoria Falls, the animals, the beautiful, all that stuff that's in Zimbabwe, it was given to Zimbabweans by God. Therefore, the Zimbabwean children have a responsibility to make sure that they use it to the best of their advantage and then pass it on.
But do you agree that Zimbabwe is a human construct?
Just like England or America.
Yeah, these are human constructs. How can they have rights? How can a human construct end up mutating into a right holder?
Okay, so if we live in this world where everybody's doing exactly the same thing, then what's wrong with us then?
No, I'm saying you present yourself in. If you have no relationship with minerals. They exist independent of you. Don't claim something that is not yours.
Okay, so basically you're lobbying to say that Zimbabweans should just let anybody come and take the minerals at will.
They are already there. There are people who died not knowing the minerals are there. And they died happily, or if they were angry, they still died.
So I'm trying to understand where you're coming from. You're saying we should just open our borders and let anybody, any country just come and help themselves at will?
I'm saying that you don't have any claim, any acceptable claim.
As a nation?
You, as a nation, doesn't exist. It's just a human construct. This is an administrative thing.
I'm really trying to understand where you're coming from. This world has got hundreds of nations.
No, I'm saying is that's the purpose of this show, to contest ideas.
Right, I agree with you.
Yeah. So we are not we are not fighting.
No, we're not fighting. We're having a debate.
Yeah, that's a contestation of ideas. And if we don't contest ideas, then we may end up, like you go to a Statue of Liberty. The more you close people out, you lose out. Because human beings, each one of us, have got wealth in us, have the power to dream.
Can I ask you a direct question?
Yeah.
Can I ask you a direct question? Are you trying to insinuate that Zimbabwe should just be an open platform where anybody can come and just start drilling wherever they want and just taking what they want because of your argument? Is that what you're saying? I'm
saying is that the value that was created outside men must not be claimed by living mortal human beings.
Okay, now here's what I'm saying, sir. The next time a company wants to do mining operations in Zimbabwe, the government should not give that company 100% of what they take.
No, that's what I'm saying. If you want to be poor, if you want your nation to be poor, do exactly what you're saying. And man is a visitor. It will not visit where you are being threatened that if you do this and you become successful, then you have people who want to harvest with you. So,
sir, are you insinuating, let me ask you another question. Are you insinuating that Zimbabwe, since we do not have oil, we can go to we can just go to Iran, Iraq, or Saudi Arabia and just drill away as much oil as we want and go back to Zimbabwe. Is that what you're saying?
No, not all the people in Iraq have a relationship with oil, mind you.
I know. I'm saying,
Yeah, so don't assume that every Iraqi citizen actually has an acceptable claim on God's gift.
Are you trying to deny that every citizen in Saudi Arabia is a direct beneficiary from those oil?
No, that's awkward thinking. That's why they'll never be able to succeed.
Okay.
Tozo owner Jacob Maforo, welcome. Sidin Maiza, welcome. Advocate James Bayanai. The government is the custodian of the natural resources only at the pleasure of the populace. I would paraphrase that and say not the government. The people who have been elected or are public office bearers, not the government. The government is a human construct, but human beings in government are as evil, as good-willed, as good-natured as you may be. Don't put too much trust on this idea that a government exists. What exists are people. And some of the people in government actually don't deserve to be in government. But they are there anyway. The people by their vote.
If you're making an argument to say that the government is not the right government, that's a totally different argument.
No, I'm saying is...
If you come and argue and say that the government should just let anybody come and drill at will.
No, I was just commenting on Advocate James Bayanai.
Okay.
That his understanding of the government need to be refined as well. The people by their vote gives the government the mandate. We don't give anyone a mandate. I just put an X on a ballot paper, and whoever gets the vote may not even remember me. And even if I tell him I voted for you, I may not even have access to him. Oh yeah, this is representative democracy, which means nothing to the common man. You vote, and then after that, nobody remembers you voted for them. And the government to have control over that. You can't control that which you don't have the power to control anyway. So and we have Katsande. I guess the issue is that even though the boundaries were not created, there's human social agreement to boundaries. People fit in and are expected to take responsibility for what is found within those boundaries. Yeah, like even people can choose to leave the borders. Human beings by nature are mobile. And like camels, they will be looking for where the oasis is. They will be looking at where there is life. And human beings are aspirational. They always inch towards a better life for themselves, not groups. Each individual.
I think let's really clarify what the discussion is here.
Yeah.
The discussion, the exchange of ideas here is when it comes to mine, for example, mines, and we're going to be specific, mines in Zimbabwe. If a mine is anywhere inside the confinements of the borders of Zimbabwe, my position is those mines, if anything under them, belong to the people of Zimbabwe. A company like yours can come and say, you own these natural resources as a nation. Let's partner, me and you, the nation, because you don't know how to do it, I know how to do it, but they are still yours. For a percentage, let me take them out of the ground for you. Let me extract them, let me process them for you, and I keep a certain amount of percentage. But for you to come as a company and say, simply because I know how to drill, I should just take it, that's where I'm saying, no, we can't operate like that.
No, who is we? Who is we now?
We as Zimbabweans.
Please, let's take this. Let's take this.
Go over what we're talking about here.
No, let's understand the true nature of life, creation, and experience of life, and the reality that is life. I don't think you are suggesting that simply by by being born in a country, you automatically must have a claim on the fruits.
You're saying that me walking around with my chest up saying I'm Zimbabwean, I shouldn't claim that I'm Zimbabwean?
No, I'm saying is that you can't claim the fruits of nature, the gifts of nature, simply by on account of existence, and say because I exist, therefore I must partake.
I am saying because I'm Zimbabwean, God decided my birth to be done in Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe has been allocated certain resources by God. Those resources should be used towards my education. They should be used towards my clinics. They should be used towards my roads. They should be used towards my security. That's what I'm advocating for.
If someone were to say to you that Zimbabwe belongs to all who live in it, what would be your reaction?
I would disagree, because there are some people that live in Zimbabwe that are non-citizens.
Yeah?
It's like saying a lodger comes to rent a room in your house, then he claims ownership of your house.
So you are saying that you deny people who live in Zimbabwe the right to fully participate and enjoy the fruits of their labor, simply on account of the fact that no, I'm saying is no, you are saying that we should have classes of people. One class Zimbabwean and the other non-Zimbabwean, is it?
Absolutely, yes.
And those who are non-Zimbabwean must not be given the same rights.
Sir, I'll give you a good example. I'll give you a specific example. I live here in the United States. If you're not an American citizen, right, and you go to your university here, you're going to pay more in tuition because you're not American.
Okay, I'm saying is that's administrative.
I'm saying that principle applies in Zimbabwe too. If you're not Zimbabwean, you cannot claim the legacy of the country because it's not yours.
No, it doesn't mean you are limited in terms of your mental faculties. You remain you, and if you exercise your mind, and if you have value to add, the market will not see a Zimbabwean in a tomato. A tomato is a tomato. If I started selling tomatoes in America, you are saying that people will reject the tomato because
no,
it's.
I never said that, sir. I'm clearly saying if you're not a Zimbabwean and you want a legal path to become Zimbabwean, you should naturalize.
No, I'm saying that is just administrative. But even if I am a visitor and I stumble upon something, I will be able to exercise my mental, even if I'm a sportsman. What you are suggesting is actually very, very, very dangerous.
No, I am saying there's a lot of visitors that came to Zimbabwe, started something, took the money out, left the country.
It's their money. What prejudice? What prejudice do you suffer if somebody takes minerals that are idle anyway?
Sir, those minerals belong to Zimbabwe.
They don't belong to Zimbabwe because Zimbabwe is a human construct. Zimbabwe itself is not a living entity.
Let's do this, sir. Let's take this to the people. If ask your viewers right now.
Yeah, they are participating anyway. Let me read what you can say that again. Government of Zimbabwe is being led by 99% evil people. The policies are cruel. And the time Makumbe, a Zimbabwean is any human being who I don't think it's finished. Farai Katsande says, I think, Simba, you may be missing a point. The law of the jungle even teaches survival of the fittest. Your definition of Zimbabwean may mean those that have access to the resources. How would all share the resources? The moment you say Zimbabwean is inclusive to a poor old chap in Mutsi who may not benefit, hence the argument of administrative against Zimbabwean. I don't understand the full import of it, but I think the argument we are having here, there are two sides to the argument. one argument saying, yes, there is a nation state called Zimbabwe. It has its boundaries. And everything within the boundaries of Zimbabwe belongs and ought to belong to the people, the indigenous people, however defined. That the natives of the place must have a better claim, because God did not make the world flat, where I can just walk into China and pretend to be Chinese, walk into Europe and pretend to be European. That the world is divided. It's a reality. That's one argument. The other argument says all the resources that are in the belly of the earth are a gift of nature. And that gift could not have been granted by a human being. It must have been granted by some other force other than human. And that force, from the origin of life, already put a refrigerator stocked with all the things that conceivably could be required in the execution of life. Not for one generation, but for all generations to come. Therefore, if that argument is correct, then it means the relationship between man and gifts of nature is temporary. When you die, the gifts remain. And when you close your country and limit it, when the Creator never put boundaries, then you are limiting your own possibilities. That human beings carry with them the most potent weapon, and that weapon is called the power of free will, choice, and reason. That mental faculty is given equally, whether you are black or white, whether you are tall or short. You have the capacity to live life through it. And there is no basis for somebody becoming superior to another. And we are all human beings. So we are indivisible, but diverse, interdependent, interrelated. And we all belong to the human race. Yes, administratively, there are countries. But the brotherhood of men transcends the sovereignty of nations. We cross borders with our brains, sometimes with nothing, but we make something out of the property in us. Mambi, Madaweni, Nasu, what are we talking about, Mdara? We are talking about a complex issue, a battle of ideas. We have given two sides of an idea. Some who climb the mountain of life on the wrong side of it. Some who have a smooth ride because the conditions speak to the human spirit. Marshall Shidawi, welcome. Philip Fekeza, welcome. So I think I've tried to summarize two versions of the argument. I don't know whether, Simba, you accept my summary.
No, your summaries are spot on. If you allow a situation where one country does not see boundaries and it just goes and helps itself to whatever it can, you're going to replay what England did, where it goes to colonize almost 60% of the world and eventually makes itself a very wealthy nation from other people's resources. We are not going to have a repeat of that scenario again. Never again. England right now, geographically, is one of the smallest countries on planet Earth. In the meantime, it's one of the wealthiest countries. Why? By that same act that you're proposing.
Okay.
Zimbabweans have to stand guard and guard their minerals and their resources and everything that belongs to them. And everything that belongs to Zimbabweans is marked by those geographic or those political boundaries. Everything in there, we have to stand guard and guard. Whether external or internal forces, we have to guard it by all our might. So the next generation can enjoy it.
Okay. Mambi Madaweni, Mdala, you should also add us here, then we add our thoughts. No problem. You are welcome. You can call in and we can punch you in. There is no apartheid here. We are not Zimbabwean here. And the beauty of social media allows you to create countries and to create communities, even of like-minded thinkers. Imagine a country that is Zimbabwean. Where would you start? Just understanding the complexity of human evolution. The mother is Malawian, the father is Zimbabwean, and the product is Obama. What do? It's not a perfect science. Those who claim perfect identities, they may find in their own identity their problems. So, human life, we are human, and we are products of complex permutations. And let's celebrate life. Welcome, Brian Maiziwe. Let Mombizo says, how do we guard it, Zimbabwe? How do we guard it, Simba? How do you guard Zimbabwe?
I'd love to answer that. Can I go for it?
Yeah.
The very nature of being Zimbabwean is to understand what's yours first. You have to know exactly what's yours because you cannot protect something you don't know. The inheritance which you inherit of this nation, if you truly understand the beauty of it, you're going to keep it. You cannot have foreign companies coming into Zimbabwe, stealing resources and leaving. You cannot have foreigners come in and abuse our system and leave. We cannot allow that. We cannot have mining companies come and just take diamonds, asbestos, and take it out of the country, and the population does not benefit anything from it. The populace, the people, the children of Zimbabwe, the kids going to school today, need to benefit from those natural resources. When people come to see the mighty Victoria Falls and pay money, pay tax, the children need to have better schools because of that natural wonder that God gave to Zimbabwe. That is what I'm talking about.
Okay, you seem to have supporters. The Edwin Mukere said the resources in Zimbabwe can be enjoyed by Zimbabweans if they have the capacity to acquire them financially or otherwise. It is futile to think that one should enjoy Zimbabwean resources by virtue of being Zimbabwean. I don't think he's supporting you, but I think, Edwin, you agree that before we can even talk about a relationship between man and gifts of nature, we must decide on this identity issue. There is what you call identity politics, which is what Simba is talking about. That we become a class of people who presumably think alike, and we are equally exposed.
No, that's not what I said. I'm having a conversation with you, and you don't think like me. That's not what I said.
Okay, I'm just trying to spice it so that you can wake up. Otherwise, you sleep with.
You know what? I come from a family with brothers and sisters. I don't expect any of my brothers and sisters to be exactly like me. They're all different. They all think differently. But with the one common denominator we have is that we're Zimbabwean.
Okay.
And a lot of families are like my family.
Okay. So you may be the future president of Zimbabwe because Mujuru is a big name.
Watch this. space.
That's right. And And then, and no matter what you say, all the minerals that are within Zimbabwe belong to Zimbabweans. Russell Tudwop, who is a Zimbabwean? Which means that the Zimbabweans should benefit more than anyone else. Okay. I wish you could.
Sir, the argument you should be having with that, sir, is not whether the minerals belong to us or not, because they belong to us. The argument you need to have with us is to say, how is it that you have been utilizing your resources? That is the argument you should be throwing at us.
Now you are giving. Now you are. Now thank you thank you for giving me an argument. I didn't ask for one.
I'm just saying because
no. I have allowed you to give your own argument. Now you are importing your argument into mine.
All right. I want to put an argument for
you. Okay. So Russell, please think about it. Tell us, what is your idea of a Zimbabwean? How does that person look like? We want to hear from you, your character description of this animal called Zimbabwe. Let Mombizo says, I think our resources are being abused with those that are in charge. Again, he's talking about abuse, talking about our resources. Let Mo talk to us about our resources. How do the gifts of nature becomes ours? What is that connection? What is the link? Please talk to us about that link. We simply need to do away with the entire system. Who is we? How do we get rid of the entire system? Do you want a bulldozer? Do you want what, an army? You want suicide bombers? Or Boko Haram? What are you saying? Otherwise, we need foreign internationals to boost our economy. Now we are talking about foreign. How does a foreign being come to pick up minerals in Zimbabwe? Human beings can do that. Human beings cannot be foreign. They are human, wherever they are. And even Simba in America, he is who he claims to be. He doesn't need papers to change, to alter his character. Then Itai Makumbe, there is no geographical boundary for Zimbabwe. What you see today as a map of Zimbabwe is non-existent. It's literally on paper. Zimbabwe has no boundary whatsoever. In fact, during winter between South Africa and Zimbabwe, the Limpopo is dry, there are no crocodiles. The people cross. The problem today is that we are limiting ourselves to this European construct and the idea of who we are. It is false. What is real about Zimbabwe what is you and me and our resolve to live together in peace and harmony as we embark on a journey to take over the world. We don't have to take over anything. We will soon die before we take over. Mary Ann Keg says, good evening, say, good evening. So I think we are there making this complex argument about the relationship between men and the reality of resources. All we can ask you is to think, reflect. Don't jump into conclusion. This issue of man and purpose, we all have assets in us. I like your thinking, Mdara. I love to keep on joining your debates. Thank you, Let Mombito. It is important that we think. Sometimes we are given the gift of thought, of reason, of free will. How many of us actually exercise it? How many of us would want to claim the whole country when I don't even have a home to call home? How many of us want to look at the neighbor and say, what is the source of your livelihood? Only to discover life was never meant to be outsourced. resources were created common to all. If they're created common to all, what are the lessons that we know we learn from this? Do we learn that a mineral, copper, in the ground has got value? Who is going to pay for it?
Sir, I think this argument is taking us backward. What I mean by it's taking us backward, this is the same attitude that we had when foreigners came to invade our country. We didn't have boundaries. We just allowed them to come and settle. We allowed them to do whatever they wanted to do. They are the ones that taught us this concept of boundaries.
I like your your elasticity of age. When were you born?
No, I'm saying.
No, you are not talking about ghosts now.
No. I'm talking about when Cecil, John Ross, and those guys came.
Were you there?
Sir, we did not have boundaries.
Don't put we when we were not born.
Okay.
Let's talk about things that.
Question.
Yeah?
When Cecil, John Ross, and company came to Africa.
Okay.
We have borders. Was passport stamped?
Yeah, that's the law of first occupation.
So they were the first ones. So Cecil John Ross was the first one to occupy?
If you found you not using the land and protecting it and creating property out of it, we learn about the rule of law. We learn that what whites brought is not the land, it's not the minerals. They just brought an administrative system.
I want to make sure I heard it right. You said that Cecil John Ross was the first one to occupy that land.
No, I'm saying when you occupied it, it meant that the people who were there were not having their own administrative system or even their prisons where they could lock him up.
So you have the right to keep it?
That's the law of conquest.
So he has the right to keep it?
If I conquer you, I take your wife, I take your children.
And you agree with that?
That is the law of nature. That's it. We are predators. We are animals.
Okay.
So and if you are not careful, sir, we are predators.
Sir, you're saying if I come to your house and I just grab whatever I want?
If you are stronger than me, then I'll say, thank God. If you come with a gun, I say, oh, take whatever you want. But leave me to live.
You must be joking, sir. You must be joking. This must be a joke.
No, I'm telling you, that's why we need rule of law, so that this animalistic tendency of men can be mitigated. Otherwise, you are in trouble. When you elect people, make sure that they are predisposed to understand the limitations that communities give to others. If you leave people to their own devices, you'll be shocked. What you call our minerals will give someone a big stomach. Right now, Zimbabwe, you may not even know. There are people who are living a first world life in Zimbabwe. And there are people who are in abject poverty. So,
if you're changing the debate,
no, I'm saying is you don't group Zimbabweans into one and say we want to have a better.
Sir, you're allowed to elevate or shift the debate. But when you're going to shift, you say I'm shifting it.
No, I'm not shifting it.
Okay, we're talking about the rightful owners in general of all the minerals. We didn't specify one particular group of minerals. All of them in Zimbabwe. We're saying they belong to Zimbabwe.
No, I'm saying is be careful on what you define as Zimbabwean. The people who get voted into government offices, they create a new Zimbabwe for themselves, which is worse than apartheid.
I agree with you. So if we're talking about corruption, let's have a discussion of corruption.
No, I'm saying is the difficulty you have is don't group yourself into this new class of people called Zimbabwe, and you don't understand what it means.
No, so you are changing the argument. The argument initially you were having is to say that Zimbabwe, as a country on the globe, does not have a right to all the minerals it has.
Now I'm saying Zimbabwe is neutral. I'm still having the same argument that Zimbabwe has no interest, but people have, and predators can be in government. And they can collect commissions.
That's true. I mean, nobody argued with that.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying is, but the country
You're going to
is...
find everybody, all 120 or 130 people on this group, they all are going to agree with your statement. So there's no need to debate that because we're all in agreement when it comes to that.
Yeah, so I'm saying is I got Tafaza Mjanja, Shekiwe Rusere, Tachivei, welcome. Totally agree with Mutuma's line of thought. You have to empower yourself to defend yourself. And Charles Ungwe, as expected, say what exactly is your point? Because it seems like you're just twisting the truth. Please, Ungwe, just be specific. Where am I twisting the truth? Russell Tadwop, as expected, a Zimbabwean is a person who is born in Zimbabwe and has the birthright, which will give them rights to benefit from the resources, and so as much as investors would like to come and invest in Zimbabwe, need to know that they can't take everything without giving back to us. Again, Russell, please wake up. Us is a big term. It's not as easy as you saying us. Who is the us? I think Simba, you agree us could be ASS.
I'm not. I'm not. Like I said, we can have another debate to debate who us is. But I'm saying there are some social services that ministers in the country that these resources should pay for. We should have certain quality of life that comes due to the generation of these resources.
No, I'm saying is, do you agree that the issue of identity has to be debated, contested?
Identity about who's Zimbabwean, who's not Zimbabwean?
I'm saying identity in general. Who am I? Am I Zimbabwean? Am I me? Am I the person that has got the name? Who am I?
I don't think there's a Zimbabwean out there who's debating the issue.
No, I'm saying is that do you think do you think it's important to sufficiently debate this in order to then decide what direction or declare, give a new declaration of rights of independence?
Like I said, anybody who's Zimbabwean, they know inside themselves that they're Zimbabwean. We don't need to debate that.
Yeah.
If you're saying let's debate how other people that are non-Zimbabwean who want to be Zimbabwean should become Zimbabwean, yes, that's a debatable topic. But if you're Zimbabwean, you know you're Zimbabwean.
No, I'm saying is, so I think that is a question that we can put to other people as well. Then Tafazo Mjanja says, Mr. Mawere is on point. The world is truly a jungle, and it is survival of the fittest. Look at how the Chinese are plundering African resources at our pleasure. Then Mambi Madaweni. Saka mdara malaiva aya, which you started. What's the real purpose? I'm not being funny, but asking a genuine question. Thank you. Okay, Mambi, we always looking for purpose, but just a platform to exchange ideas, to enrich ourselves, to enlarge, to enlighten, to deepen, to broaden, to contest ideas, to rebel, so that you can make a better choice about what future you want to see. We often...
Can I add to that?
Huh?
Can I add that?
Yeah.
Can I add that?
Okay.
The purpose of us talking is, Dara is in South Africa, I'm in Michigan, you are wherever you are. We can connect on things that are important to us. Even though we might disagree here and there, but there are certain things that we all have in common. What technology has allowed us to do now is for us to have a platform for us to engage in ideas. Whether we agree or not, that's a different conversation for a different day. But the fact that we're all sitting right now in different corners of the world and having a conversation, that needs to be respected.
Hello? Yeah, okay, no, that's excellent. We have let Mombizo Simba. When Sisu John Rhodes came, the resources we are talking about now might not have been discovered at the same time. He came already innovated. I personally think when the nation discovered that the nation had wealth, after they got taught by the same Sisu John Rhodes, I think Sisu was a blessing to a nation which never knew nothing. Gradually, its hands were joined. The nation could be by far now if hands were joined.
I think that's a terrible way of looking at it.
And then Mamo Mowe is that Muzorewa. I don't know. Muzorewa is still alive or is dead? Muzorewa, I thought he's dead, but maybe there's another man who is resurrected.
I don't think he's alive.
Then Lauren Nira, thank you, Mr. Mawele. I totally agree with your analysis about the massive disparity in social privileges obtained from our resources. Okay? I think you had an issue with Let Mombizo about Sisu John Rhodes.
Me?
Yeah?
I think he's insinuating that before Sisu John Rhodes came to Africa, we didn't have a functioning society. That's not true. We had a functioning society. Actually, we had a better society than what the world knows now. They just happened to change the rules. So when they changed the rules, they discarded everything that we believed in and created new rules that they believed in. So now we're forced to live in their rules, and part of their rules is that they have borders.
But do you agree?
They build the borders.
Do you agree that the minerals were always there?
Yeah, the minerals were always there. They were ours then, and they're still ours today.
No, I'm saying is, do you agree that they were there independent?
The minerals were in the ground back then. They belonged to us back then, just like they belong to us now.
Okay, I mean, do you agree that the minerals were there independent and their quantum could not have been known and is not known anyway? Because that...
Right, the quantum is not known. We don't know exactly what's under there, but the ownership of them is not
No, I'm saying is let's say ownership is a legal construct.
Okay.
Yeah,
just like citizenship.
That's right. Those are legal constructs. And
Fundi, just like a lot of things on planet Earth, yes.
Yeah. Fundisi said social pride vanishes when alignments to your motherland becomes shameful. Truly, we now ascribe to self than nation, a sad truth. Okay? And then Letmo Bizo said there was administrative system at all. And I don't think so, Simba. I think he's disputing something you said. But I guess we have traversed this issue, and I was enjoying the discussion, but lost it somehow. And Lorraine, that's Tozoona, Lorraine said we've never lacked ideas, but we are consistently prevented from applying them by those that think Zimbabwe is okay as it is. Unfortunately, this is the view of the minority few. Mr. Maori calls the first world Zimbos. Yeah, so I think I don't know for you, Simba. We have tried just to ignite people to think, and Tozoona, I think you also, by enjoying the discussion, by contributing to it, by leaving you with some homework to think outside the box. Because as Simba said, technology has allowed us to be connected, and we can create communities within these connections. We can be able to do what those we call colonialists were able to do. Came without diamonds, arrived, found diamonds, found gold, found copper, and used that to build infrastructure. And I think that is the challenge we have. We can be perfect in describing the evil of yesterday, but the future is written today by our thoughts and actions. What is it that occupies our minds? If 90% of that is the past, then we are a lost generation. But if 99% is what do we need to do tomorrow or today to secure a better tomorrow, then let's convert these ideas into some kind of frame of what Zimbabwe should be like if we were the creator of it. Who would be in it? Who would be out of it? Who would be rich in it? Who would not be rich? Who would be the referee? Should there be a referee of life? Should life be surrendered to the whims of others? All these questions you have to decide yourself. There are people who believe that governments and the people who act in the name of this construct must have a better claim on the opportunities that life offers. That is one scenario, and you have to decide. All we can do is provide platforms and participate in them. Because it's one thing to propose and threaten, to have tolerance and ideas, battling ideas, and not present yourself in it. We have given up time so that you can use us as an excuse to connect yourself to other people, so that your ideas, however imperfect they are, can be sharpened by the criticism of others. And ideas that are not tested, are not contested, are not shared, are dead. But you are not dead. So if you are alive, be the change that you want to see. Motion requires causation. There is nothing that will move on its own. It will only move because you have chosen to be the agent of change and the person who decides that change must happen. And the choice is yours. The future that you want resides in your mind, because that's where the ideas are. And Lorraine, you may say, we know what ideal Zimbabwe. There is no ideal Zimbabwe. It's contested. We are where we are because other people chose to contest ideas. They brought ideas, some of them inferior. Some of them have caused nightmares. Some of them continue to cause sleepless nights. Some of those ideas have caused people to go to foreign shows just because the Zimbabwe that they are exposed to is not the kind of Zimbabwe that speaks to their spirit. Itai said there should be no debate who or what a Zimbabwe is, because the name Zimbabwe explains it a lot. If you take that view, Itai, tomorrow you'll be in government. And as long as you stop debate, you know you're already limiting the promise of life. Contest ideas without reservation. And all I can say, it will be a sad day if debates are limited because somebody has chosen to say their interpretation is the better interpretation of all interpretations. So I don't think the attitude is to take the view that I know all, but that I'm willing to negotiate. If the majority come to the same conclusion that Zimbabwean, what it means to Zimbabwean, to be Zimbabwean, ought to be restricted, then the implications, we have to live with them. Whatever you limit, you never know who will be the Messiah, not the Messiah that we know of biblically, but those whose treasures are hidden in their minds. And all we need is to find the appropriate environment that unlocks this human treasure. And that treasure is not limited to whether you're black or white. The treasure is given to all.
Can I say one more thing before I go?
Okay, thanks. You me too, yeah. Okay, go ahead.
One last thing I'd like to say, and I'll let you say the last thing since it's your platform. It's crucially important as Zimbabweans that we should not get comfort in our own environment right now, that we forget. Lest we forget, the country we have now was fought for by brave men and women, children that sacrificed so much. We cannot then get comfortable now and start talking about we are not aware of what we own or what belongs to us when people died for it. For as long as we as a country have people that gained independence through the struggle, we should always have the mentality to say generationally, we should protect generational wealth so that it's kept for future citizens. We cannot be open to say whoever wants anything from Zimbabwe, it's open season, people can just come and get it. We should absolutely reject that. I should say I'm Zimbabwean. I came to America to get an education. The purpose of my education was so I can defend what's mine. I can defend my country intellectually. I can defend what it stands for. That is why I came to foreign lands. So I can acquire the skills that they have so I can use it to the benefit of my country. That is what it comes down to. So if we're going to get comfortable and say, hey, let's have open season, let's let the Chinese just come and get whatever they want, let the Americans just come and get, because we're living in this make-believe world where everything is open, I say no. I say the responsibility of those superpowers, the majority of the big people in the first place, was to protect the smaller countries. They failed in doing that. It led to slavery, led to them stealing our resources, led to all these things. Now we are dealing with the second generation of Africans. We are different. We are different. We're saying, hell no, absolutely not. This small country of ours is ours. We love it. We're proud of it. Every little dirt in it belongs to us. For you to take it from us, we're going to fight for it. That's what we're saying. We're not going to accept any other argument. Now, when it comes to trading and treating us as equal partners, let's have a conversation. But you're not coming to have a free-for-all. That's not going to happen. Not in our Zimbabwe. Not in the new Zimbabwe. No. Thank you, sir. I think that's all I have for tonight.
Thank you very much. I think you have given the alternative side. So I think you think about the alternative that says the human spirit has no borders, knows no borders, has no eyes, no ears. You are you. You got the power. You got the answers. So the moment you limit, you never know what penalty you are imposing on yourselves. So thank you very much for spending the time with us. And we are enriched because you have taken the time to share the this gift of life so that we can together test some ideas, however painful they may be, but we need nevertheless to be people of ideas. And I see there are comments that have come through, but we have come to the end of that. There's Richard Tanyanyiwa. We should not look at a country like a supermarket whose shelves were then stocked with resources like minerals. Minerals existed millions of years ago, probably before cavemen. The issue is now about stewardship. I've lost it, yeah. And Simba, boy, I think the problem emanated from the way most of us were brought up. Obey your elders, having to lack the power to ask, question authority, disagree without being disagreeable. One cannot even question. Mom or dad. What that teaches the child is that whatever the rules that be, have the authoritarian right not to be questioned. If we teach our children that it's okay to disagree with your elders, as long as there is a platform to discuss it without repercussion, then maybe we'll be somewhere. I'm sure had this been the case, we'll be informed. Then, of course, Lorraine, defend our resource heritage is a priority. But does your line of argument stand true in terms of who benefits and humanly distributing the resources? Thank you, Mdara Mambi Madaweni. Looking forward to capture up again. So which days shall we tune in and what time? I think 10 p.m. is a good time. We can tune in, and we normally have the show from 4 p.m. Central African time. So you can choose that time or 10 p.m. 4 p.m. or 10 p.m. daily, until we have established some ground rules, because these arguments, I say daily, which is tomorrow, you'll have another one. And Thursday, where there's a change, we'll let you know. The status quo pre-independence was some 250,000 people suppressing around 7 million people. Nothing has changed in this regard except the numbers. The issue must see a resolution in the immediate future. I think to get a change is not a slogan. It starts with you. It starts with these conversations. They may be harmless, but they lead you to think. They lead you to reflect, and reflect we must. Do the people in government truly understand this? Itai Makumbe, no, Mr. Mawere, I'm not discouraging debate at all. I'm saying that who and what we are as Zimbabweans cannot be confused. Debating means we are still trying to convince ourselves about something we cannot be sure of. A Zimbabwean is one who has to be sure. That's a house of stone. I'm not too sure, because there are many people who share the Zimbabwean heritage, but they have no obligation to live in Zimbabwe. And you must accept that. You must respect that. Even with the advent of land reform, there are people who said, no, I will not go back to Zimbabwe because of land. All I'm looking for is a better life. And accept that people are people. They are self-determining. They are self-interested. And they pursue their own self-interest. The sooner we accept that we are individuals who actually need others to secure the true promise of life, then we are getting somewhere. But the moment we think that we don't need anybody, or we are a group We are not animals, we are human beings. Each one of us has the capacity to think, the capacity not to think, the capacity to be irrational and also rational. So let's celebrate our humanity, not the boundaries that we create. Because even if we call ourselves Zimbabweans and close everybody else out, would that secure the true promise of life? If it is the case, take us to the country where this promise is perfected, where if we don't have money, we want to close ourselves in poverty and pontificate, hallucinate, imagine things that don't exist. So let's be realistic. What kind of future do we want to see? If you have a contribution to that, think and share. Don't share before you think, because there are consequences. The journey of independence has been too painful for men. A lot of stories, squandered opportunities, missed opportunities, damaged lives for us to keep on keeping on. Thank you.